Why, hello there, and welcome all back to a video I'm pretty sure none of you guys asked for, but oh well, we're here anyway. As you guys can see, we have returned to the wonderful world of Novylen, but something is different. As you guys can see, this is not the trusty SMP with 50 years worth of history, but this is the creative server, which, you know, surprise surprise, is not really alive. I'm the only one on. Oh well, but you know, that's all nice and well. The reason why I'm here, and to give some context, because there hasn't been a creative plot review video on this channel since ages. Well, after Juicecraft shut down, I kinda started looking for new creative plot servers because, you know, I kinda missed them, and you know, I want to get building again. And I did some research, and I came to the conclusion all creative servers are ass. They're pretty stinky. So yeah, I was kind of stuck with Novylen, and it isn't the best server, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a good server, good community and stuff, but there kinda aren't really any commands, and there is no world edit unless I'm just stupid or incompetent. So that's not really making it easy, but that's fine. I can work with that. And as you guys can see, I kind of, you know, did some random stuff, and it has been one of the most enjoyable builds I've ever done in my life. I'm not gonna lie, this plot was really fun to make, and it all started with this temple over here, the cherry temple. I made this thing like 2 years ago or something, when the new cherry blossom biome blocks and all that sort of stuff released. I was like, oh my god, new blocks, I want to test them out, and I did not hold back in the slightest. I went hog wild. So much cherry, so much pink, and I kinda love it for that. It's a nice little temple, you know, to put some respect on its name. From the inside, the narrow temple isn't really that exciting. I mean, there's a shelves, books, and a table on the first floor. But besides that, there's can we please just yes there kinda isn't a whole lot in here apart from a nice little balcony, but oh well, the other floors are, you know, pretty empty, but you get the point. The outside is looking pretty fancy, pretty pink, is not ugly, as I like to say. And next to it is the cherry garden, a sort of zen garden where, you know, you can find inner peace underneath the cherry tree, not the Christmas tree, you know, and do some meditation or stuff. And yeah, this cherry tree, I really like it. I struggle with custom trees a lot. I'm not the best at them by any means, but I think this tree turned out decent. I mean, it's kinda missing the third branch up here. You know, it's a cherry tree, it shouldn't be hanging this depressive, but that was sort of what I was going for. So if you look at it that way, it's good. But now that, you know, it could be better. It could be better for sure. But you know, it's my custom tree, so it's better than, you know, most people thought. And there are tons of cool little decorations around the place. Some candles for details. Some, you know, these pink petals, and some carpets and leaves, you know, scattered around the place. Some bamboo and other plants, just to make it a little bit more alive, you know. And the particles, I really like these particles, man. The leaf particles and the spore blossom is, you know, sneaky hidden over there, you know. They add so much ambiance. I really like it. For the rest, there's really a whole lot of over here on this cliff. This cliff is sort of inspired by a plot I made with Kai on Juicecraft. You know, this sort of cliff design, except it's much smaller, of course, since I didn't have any world edit. I had to, you know, keep it together a little bit. And for the rest, you know, there isn't really a whole lot up this, you know, plateau apart from this tiny, depressive looking cherry tree. This was made like 2 years ago alongside this temple when, you know, I really wanted to create some cherry stuff. You know, I remember Lima from Juicecraft created some sick cherry trees for Kai's 6th plot. Like, those were really awesome, and those sort of inspired, you know, that tree and this one over there. So yeah, I was really in a cherry vibe, I suppose. But yeah, I eventually I sort of got stuck because I didn't really know what to do with the rest of the plot. It felt like so much work because I was so used to having world edit and stuff and all these, you know, creative commands. But Novylen is not a creative server, it's an SMP, it's a survival server, so it's fine that they don't have all the commands for a creative nerd like me, but it kind of really made things a whole lot more difficult for me mentally because, you know, there's so much to do, and I was struggling because at first I wanted to create an entire village over here, but that didn't really work out. I didn't really like that. And I kind of thought, well, there's nothing I can do. So then I decided, what if I just make nothing? I just make terrain, and that's it. And to be honest, guys, it has been some of the most fun and peaceful and calming things I've ever done in my entire life. Just, you know, building terrain, being at ease, putting my worries away, because there's so much stuff I need to take care of. Sometimes it's a good idea to just sit back, relax, and build some terrain. And that might sound incredibly boring, but it was pretty fun. It's sort of inspired by bdubs, cheap bdubs landscape, I suppose, but it was really fun to make. If you take a closer look at like the ground, it's a combination of moss and green concrete powder. I sort of see moss as just a premium, version of the regular grass block. And I wanted to create some more details, so I decided to spice it up with a little bit of green concrete powder. And there are a few like hills over here. You can't really call them hills; it's just sort of like slope. And those are decorated with some rocks over here, which consist of gravel, suspicious gravel, or and some andesite slabs and all those other fun little stone, like miscellaneous blocks, to give some more details to the rocks. And I just scattered them about the place, making them by hand, taking a little more artistic look, taking a look from further away, and taking a look from things up close, seeing things in perspective, and that I really like it. There are a few angles which really are pretty awesome to take a look at on this plot, and making it was pretty peaceful, and walking through it also just feels so incredibly nice. But I still wanted to add something over here, so that's why there's this old, abandoned mossy iron golem statue, which I think is pretty cool. The only grass block over here with the poppy on top of it, sort of like a memorial or something. I don't know what this is. It's an old relic. It's pretty old, as you guys can see, and there's some pink petals over here, and there's a spore blossom hidden away over here. Oops, I kinda didn't really cover that part up too well. But yeah, that adds some more ambiance. And yeah, for the rest there's just some hills and some landscaping, which everything of course is done by hand. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun work at that. It was really peaceful, and I recommend at some point you guys should try it. It can really give you some peace and some serenity, and it's a good way to upgrade your build skills and challenge yourself to do some new things. And lastly, over here there's a river with a small little waterfall, of course. Originally I planned the river to go all the way through the plot, but I thought, no, let's just not do that. But of course, as I'm a real gamer, and I'm sure every one of you watching is, always remember to look behind the waterfall. I just couldn't resist to add a little secret. A little Herobrine cave tribute. I have plenty of them on Juicecraft, but yeah, this is an entirely custom-made cave, which is pretty spooky, of course. There's a creepy summoning circle over here. I don't know what's going on over here. That's the abyss or something, but yeah, spooky jump scare. Yeah, really spooky. And over here, there's like a sort of little, this is the main area, I suppose, with a Stargate, of course, pretty common on Novylen. And yeah, it's just a nice little lush cave with some amethyst and some deep dark over here. Plenty of cool little details, and there's some raw gold, which is probably not, it kind of stands out, doesn't really fit in here, but hey, I like gold, so I still decide to add it anyway. But yeah, the Stargate is pretty cool, of course, and it's right underneath the temple. But for the rest, this cave is pretty much just carved and made by hand, and it's pretty spooky, of course. I don't know, I was in a spooky mood. Been playing a lot of Lethal and Phasmo again recently, so decided, to take a little spooky. But unfortunately, there is no actual Herobrine. Once again, it not only does Novylen not have, world edit, it doesn't have armor stand commands or mods either, which is pretty sad, because I really like working with armor stands. And last but not least, there's a hot air balloon. It's kind of a cheap one. It's not my best work, but I think if I spruce it up a little bit, add some colors and stuff, it could look sort of okay. It could look, it's fine. I mean, it's by no means bad. It's my first hot air balloon, but there's a lot of room for improvement. But I like it. It doesn't really fit in this plot, but as I was making this plot, I was listening to Luchtballon from Joost Klein, and then I just thought, what, why not make an actual hot air balloon? But hey, that's probably just me. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing more stuff like this, you can always leave it down in the comments below, or say, hey, this grass is off by 1 block, you should have placed it over there, and then I could do that or something. I don't know, but yeah, leave some stuff in the comments down below, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you all for watching, and I hopefully will be seeing you all again in the next one.